Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Embrace the Journey with Sharon. I'm so glad that you're here today and looking to inspire and empower you in something that goes back into history, something that goes back generations upon generations. I find very intriguing. I've had the chance to spend some time with my guest, and I'm even more intrigued by it, and am so looking forward to, for lack of a better word, enlightening you to a way to discover more about who you are in this world, and that you are perfect just the way you are. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. The only thing is, you need to kind of break out of that box that we've put ourselves in over the years. And this I find to be a very interesting and cool and spiritual, moving way to do that. So my guest today is Tere Greenwald, and she is a light worker. She's also an intuitive, and she shares her knowledge. As a student, she studied astrology as well as some other modalities that she'll share with us today. And now she shares what she's learned with others and teaches us how we can tune into us. The most important person in the world is us, because the more we know about ourselves, the better we can be to others that surround us in this world. So I want to welcome you, and I'm really, really excited about today.
Yes,
Yeah.
me as well. Thank you, Sharon.
Yeah.
What a beautiful introduction.
Thank you. Well, share a little bit more about yourself, because you actually have a very interesting background that has brought you to where you are now, and recognizing that this is the area that you can enlighten people that in a positive way, but it's a little bit off of what most people would figure the mainstream.
Yes, not exactly mainstream, although most people may find themselves looking at their daily horoscope or their weekly horoscope. We kind of tend to be more comfortable with that. It's a little more mainstream and accepted. My actual professional background begins with a degree in psychology, being a social worker for a number of years, being professionally trained as a grief counselor. I have had a lot of experience in mainstream counseling. Mm-hmm. Breaking out of that particular mold and going on my own spiritual path led me more into understanding astrology, tarot card reading. I experienced a loss on a personal level with my sister at a very young age. She passed. And it led me to want to connect more to the other side. Mm-hmm. And that is a very typical experience. When we have a significant loss in our life, it leads us to want to form a connection to the other side. And it typically can be a launching point into a very deep spiritual journey. That's a very personal experience in terms of how one decides to go down that path. But nevertheless, it can be a transforming experience as well. So that's what led me to the intuitive side more so, was the loss of my sister, wanting that connection. I started out in what we call mediumship, talking to dead people basically. And everybody's gifts in terms of how they experience feeling that and what that connection is for them is very different. Mm-hmm. Mine is more empathic. I am not going to see as many images as I am going to feel the presence. The connection is always very subtle. And typically in getting into the spiritual realm and feeling and seeing the signs, we realize it's being tuned into the subtleties that allow us to really see the signs. It isn't as dense. So it's not as black and white right in front of us.
So it's reading between the lines, so to speak.
Absolutely, following the breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
And so as we learn to do that more and more in our lives, it just really opens up. And the more we do that, the more we are dialed into the subtleties of the spirit world. I then learned tarot card reading and found that to be a really useful skill. Again, something people were somewhat familiar. I like to read Voyager tarot cards. I love the images
Mm-hmm.
on the cards, and I've actually met with the man who created the Voyager tarot cards.
Because
It's
there's a lot of information just in the image that's on the card.
absolutely, absolutely. It's like art, basically, collage of multiple pictures, and so many times then I can see into it. I find with working with clients, using tarot cards or an astrology chart, it's a visual for them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's what they need. They see that, and then something in that picture, that image may speak to them as well. But I find that people tend to like to have something physically tangible that, oh, I can see this, and
Yeah.
whatever that evokes in them. Leading my way into astrology, I was given a gift. As I was already in tarot card reading, I was already in mediumship, and a very special friend gave me the gift of an astrology reading for one of my birthdays. And Brian Hill was the master teacher. He became my master teacher. I was amazed at what he was able to tell me through that reading. As one who was in the field of counseling, there are the key personality planets, and the way he described who I was, he said to me, and I will always remember this, he says, "You are very intuitive." Now, he had no idea that I did any of this.
Right.
He says, "You are very intuitive." And he said, "You're actually more comfortable surfing the other side than you are being here in this physical realm that we're in." And I looked at him and I was amazed, because nobody ever knew that about me.
Mm-hmm.
And he really, really nailed it. And what a blessing it was that he decided to take me under his wing and teach me.
Well, and a blessing for us, because I mean, it's seriously the ripple effect out.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm grateful. I'm just going to tell you that I'm grateful for you having the courage, because again, you found the courage in your life to step out of mainstream because you were you knew there was more. So that's something that I want all of us to connect to with today. Is it's not just what Tere's sharing with us today, but her journey, her story of stepping out and where it's brought her. I think we all come here with gifts. And so many of us are almost afraid of them, the intuition, the things that we feel inside, the thoughts that we have, and we're not sure what to do with them because we're so boxed in by society says you're supposed to be this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
And so, and Tere was in that. I mean, you were in the mainstream. You were in the system,
I
so to
worked for
speak.
Sarasota Memorial Hospital for 14 years, and I have nothing but wonderful things to say about that experience, but I definitely had to stay within the lines
Yeah.
and not cross that, and respect what that institution is. However, it's not authentically what I came
Yeah,
here
and
to
it's
be
like
and do.
so many of us come home. I know, for speaking for myself, it was the same thing. And what Tere said about her moment with her sister, I feel that this is where most of us have expansion. It's so hard to be going through something, a suffering of some kind. But usually, I have found, and through the guests that I've spoken with, and many, many people in my life, that this is where we say, I don't want this, I want something more, and then being open and realizing and seeing these different things that come into your life, that this is what we're asking for.
Absolutely. It is in the asking, and it is in sometimes those difficult places that we find ourselves allowing ourselves to receive something different.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
again,
a
this
magical
ties
place.
into that. Yeah,
Yes.
this ties into that. This is, you know, like you said, people read their horoscopes every day. Why do we do that? Because there's something in us that knows there's messages out there for us. And a lot of us tune into the wrong places, so to speak. You know, we tune into the TV set, or we tune into the movies, or we tune into the billboards that go by. And we're speaking about a much deeper tuning in to who we are as human beings and the modalities that are out there to help us to learn about the truth of who we are.
Absolutely. Yes, our authentic self, learning to understand what exactly that is.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at the astrology wheel, we look at where's Mercury, that's how we think and communicate. We look at where's Venus, that's our love style and how we get along with other women. It's the divine feminine. We look at Mars, the action planet, and the male energy. How do we take action? How do we go about doing things? And the moon, emotions. How are we emotionally? What do we need? Do our style emotionally, does that jive with somebody else in our life or not? Communication wise, does that jive with somebody else or not? It allows us to understand where we're coming from, where the other person is coming from.
So what we're going to get into now is a little bit about the tarot cards, and they again are just a way for us to learn more about ourselves, about the journeys that we're on. The visual, like you said, the visual is amazing, because even if you don't know anything about them, if you bought a set of cards for yourself, it will just open you up to start becoming aware of the things that are around you. I'll tell you a quick story before we get into the cards. So recently, there's a little owl that's been hanging out around me. And the other night we were in the office here, and we were listening to a meditation video, and we had all the lights out in the office except for one over on the very back side, and I was going to use the ladies' room, and in the corner of this window in the pitch black I saw this image, and I was like, that I think is my owl. And so I stopped and I looked, and it was this little owl that normally I see at my house. Now, is it the same one? I don't know. But because I'm aware of him, I'm starting to see him. So the next day I had to finish up some holiday shopping. I went to 2 stores. I saw 8 owls. I would be like bending down on the shelf, and I would look up maybe 3 shelves to stand back up. And on the 3rd shelf, like directly in front of me, was a little owl. And I'm not talking, they're all little. I looked them up. Athena, goddess Athena, had a little owl with her. Now, I just keep saying I'm open to the message, because I don't know what this little owl right now is trying to tell me. I know it has to do with intuition, which is something that Tere shared with me from my own reading a week ago, which I'm intrigued by and open to learning more for myself, and also wisdom. So I'm excited. I probably have told this story like 10 times and just sharing it with people. So again, the images open our minds up. So sit back and be open to what Tere is about to share with us. It's going to be amazing.
I'm doing a general tarot reading, and a shortened version of that. I use the Voyager Tarot cards, which have these beautiful mandala on the outer cover, and each card has multiple images, and that's why I love these cards. There are just so many different things to look at, and typically we're drawn to a picture on this card. It just draws us in and somehow speaks to us. So that's why I love reading this particular deck. Some shy away from tarot because the images tend to be scary, and I don't find that with this deck. The readings are never meant to be scary, and if you experience that with anybody who's doing a reading, please just step back from them and move on to someone else. Readings are meant to be inspiring and healing and give us information around where we want to go, and they should really speak to us, and we would know that there's some truth because it feels true to us personally. I'm doing an overall reading. The first card I picked was one on allowing the fog to clear. It speaks to typically a short period of time, maybe a 2-week period of time. So as we're transitioning, and we're now into 2013, into a bit of a global transition. It's a personal transition, it's a global transition. There will be a fog that will be clearing. So as we embark on this transition, everything may not feel or look particularly clear to us, and it's important for us to trust our inner knowing, pull on that intuitive side, and know that the fog will clear. This is just a period of time. It's a glorious period of time, and sometimes we don't have to know all the answers. We just allow it to clear. We allow everything to show itself. And the next card speaks to situations in our life and these transitions really stretching and growing us. We're reaching for something new and different. And we are, what to quote Sharon, reaching out of the box, not allowing ourselves to stay in. And so what follows this period of the fog clearing is a stretching and growing. And again, this is just think of it as exercise for the soul, so to speak. What follows that is a period of time of courage, where we are coming into our own, we're feeling our own sense of power. It's not ego power, what we've experienced a lot in the past, and what the world has kind of reflected back is more of an ego power. This is more of a soulful power. This is honoring what is truly right for us within, and having the courage to kind of forge forward. One of the cards that spoke to me, and if any cards when you're doing your own reading kind of jump out or they're sticking out of the deck, honor that. That means that card wants to show itself. And so this is the Hierophant card. This speaks to traditions, and this also speaks to learning life's lessons. So what have we been through as we're embarking on this huge transition of 2013? We've learned a lot of life lessons, and we've taken that to heart, and we've grown. We are now allowing ourselves to create new traditions, one to speak to the new and expanding view of ourselves and our place in the world. And so that's what the tarot has to offer us for this particular segment. And it's I always find it amazing how accurate it tends to be.
They really are beautiful, and the images, like you said, are. I liked what you said about they're not to be feared. This is not about fear. It's about actually knowing more about ourselves. I think we fear what we don't know.
Absolutely.
And false evidence appearing real. So, and some of the history ties this back into maybe shadow areas or whatever, but everything ties back into that. It all depends on how we choose to look at it and how we choose to grow from it. I loved what you had to say. I think 2012 has been a very interesting year for many of us, and 2013 now is a time, I think a lot of people have been feeling it towards the end of the year and now into 2013. Just something more, something more.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. And just kind of taking those lessons, gathering the gifts from all of that, and allowing that to kind of incorporate into the new us.
Yeah.
And I would say the new you, the new, for each individual.
Yeah. Now there's many people who say that there are angels that walk among us on this earth, and I am one who believes that. I look back in my life and I tell people, well, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'll put it out there anyway. I tell people that, because people say, when are you going to write a book? And I always say, I already know the title. It will be On the Wings of Angels, because I look back at my life and I know that there is something or an essence of something that has protected me in many areas and guided me into many areas. So Terry also works with angel cards, which I personally love. I love the meaning behind it, and for me, just the visualizing of there being somebody watching over me that has my best interests in mind. So share a little bit about these with us.
Well, this is one of Doreen Virtue's angel decks, and she
can have her on my show one day.
So many, absolutely. And if you're on Facebook, she does weekly angel card readings, and they're always beautiful and inspiring. So this being one of her decks, I typically always like to end my tarot reading with an angel reading, it tends to be lighter and always inspiring. So Sharon, I'm just going to let you pick the angel card.
Now, question, do you ask a question, you know, does it matter, or do you ask a question, or is it just the energy of what you're drawn to?
I would follow the energy of what you're drawn to. Sometimes people come in for readings and they really are. They have something they really want to know about.
Mm-hmm.
If that is you, then you hold the intention for getting the answers that you seek.
Okay.
And
Okay, so. Going right in the middle, I think.
and this
Very
one wants to
common.
come. Dreams. The dream card came up. And this is honoring dreams on multiple levels. We know we have dreams when we sleep. Sometimes we remember, sometimes we don't. Oftentimes when somebody will pull this card, they may have had a very vivid dream, or one is soon to come to them, that they really should honor and take to heart, because there is a lot of symbolism and there is a message in that dream for them about this issue that they're seeking some guidance on. This card also speaks on a bigger level to, let's honor the dreams that we want to create in our life. And really allowing ourselves the freedom to be able to do that. The meditation card was really wanting to come out, and that follows that. If you are wanting to get your own guidance, it's very important, and it doesn't even have to be a traditional meditation. It's just allowing the mind to quiet in a way that we can really tap into our own intuition around that. And
So maybe finding a place that for me is relaxing, where I don't have all the thoughts of this. I do want to share with you the dream card. I'm not going to say exactly what I was thinking of, but that is the perfect card for it, to be pulled for it. So I like that, and I'll also be open to any dreams that I may have. And that's something that ties into the back to the 22nd of December, which they're saying, or they said, there's a time within that 3 days where we will have 8 minutes, where we will have had 8 minutes of kind of an awakening for ourselves.
Right.
And they said, one of the people that I watched said, make sure to write all of those down. So it'll almost be like we're in a dream state. So it's very, very interesting that you're pulling that card for me.
And the importance of creating sacred space and peace to be able to really dial into it. The following card that came up, because I decided, I was guided, I should say, to pick 3, would be the music card. And we know so many times we hear a song, it makes us remember somebody, something, so it just dials us into a moment within, and allowing ourselves to be inspired by music, and allowing the music to tell us what it needs to tell us.
And interesting, we had just been talking about that recently, about music. And
absolutely.
How sometimes when I get out here, I need to rock out.
Yeah, there are never any accidents to that as well. And using music, it's one of those common ways. If we've lost a loved one, or we have a memory about something, we hear a song, it takes us to that place. And really honoring that, and how music speaks to us when we hear certain words in a song. It is telling us a message, and it's coming through.
Now, your work that you do, it can be done in person, such as when I went to see her. Is it also something that you can do over Skype or over the phone with people?
Absolutely. I have a client that moved to Hawaii, a client and friend, so I can do these sessions over the telephone as well. Yeah. Okay.
And you can reach Tere. We'll have her information down below here on the video, so you can reach out to her. Normally I end the show and then we kind of go black, but today I want to do something a little bit differently. I'm going to thank Tere so much for being here. I hope that you come back, because I think there's so much more for us to learn, and I feel for myself, and I think everybody that's watching today may have just touched into something. I thank you for being the person that you are, and having the courage to step out of the box and now put a positive ripple effect into our world by sharing the gifts that you came here with, and the gifts now that you're embracing and growing, so to speak.
Oh, thank you. Thank
kind
you.
of like a flower blossoming.
Mm.
So I want you all to remember to embrace the journey, because when you do, it is amazing. And today we are going to end with a light work meditation. So sit back. If you haven't been watching and just been listening to us, kind of turn off the TV and everything else and take these few minutes and gift yourself with a wonderful meditation from Tere. And thank you so very much.
My pleasure. And as we begin, I just ask that you allow yourselves to find a quiet place if you can. Sit comfortably. If you would like to close your eyes, you can. Whatever's best for you. If you're driving, please don't. And at this point, I am going to allow the heart center to open. This is the Lightworks healing method, and I am just doing the opening in more of a guided meditation to allow ourselves to be fully present in the here and now. This allows for energy expansions and connections to divine source energy. And so as we begin being in here and in the now, we allow our heart to open, and feel yourself breathing into the front of the heart and out the back of the heart. And just allowing that heart to open fully and completely. And if you can, feel yourself breathing in the back of the heart and out the front. We are sending that energy front to back and back to front. And allowing that to open. Think of a flower and the petals are just opening up, and that's what's happening in our heart right here and right now. And you can do this at any time in your day. Divine love flowing through us and through our lives, through us and through our lives, yes. And see that expand out as big as the room, yes. Allow yourself to stretch that heart center open as big as it wants to go. And again, think of flower petals just gently opening. And now, creating the vertical pillar, we are going to bring up earth energy and send that up from earth. Feel like coming through the bottom of our feet. It comes through us, around us, and we are sending that up to sky. And as our channels go up, think of these like beautiful antennae, but they're like white light type of antennas, just perking up the top of our head, opening up our crown, and allowing any bent channels to be straightened, lengthened, yes, and sending that up high, allowing our channels to be stretched, and allowing for any connections to be made at this time. And we bring that beautiful white light energy down through the top of our heads, through us, and sending that down to earth. Earth to sky, sky to earth. And this beautiful pillar of light pops open, beautiful white healing energy, feeling ourselves filled with source energy, and bringing that down again deep into earth, feeling grounded, feeling safe, yes. Connecting with, like plugging into this golden source energy deep into the center of the earth. And bringing that up, earth to sky, sky to earth. Woo, there we go. And we are asking at this time for source energy just to flood our physical beings, allowing for any energy expansions, spiritual expansions, prosperity expansions that can happen at this time. We fully and allow ourselves to receive our gifts and our blessings. Allowing that to come through us, yes, fully and completely into physical body. Allowing us to absorb that beautiful source energy, becoming one with that source energy. And bringing that fully and completely into physical body, through our skin, into our circulatory system, into our organs, through our muscles, and into our bones. And as we absorb that on a physical level, again sending that deep, deep, deep into the earth, allowing us to feel grounded, allowing us to feel safe